Welcome one and all to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you by Water Cleanup of Florida. I've talked a lot about all the great things about Water Cleanup of Florida, and it's been heightened in the last 2 weeks because they've been doing work for me. Literally, we had an issue in our home, and there was some spots that looked like they may be mold. Said, okay, well, let's put Water Cleanup of Florida to the test. And they've exceeded all expectations. Called them literally early in the morning before we do our morning show, like 6 in the morning, which is when they say they're available 24/7. If you're calling someone at 6 in the morning, that's not business hours. That's 24/7. Within minutes, I got a message and then got a call to set up an appointment to do an inspection. They came out, did the inspection. At that inspection, they laid out the game plan. They gave me a rough estimate and talked about when they could possibly come and do work. They then went, looked up, did a report, gave me an official inspection, official estimate, and from that, we made an appointment. They came out. They handled everything in immaculate and tremendous efficiency. Did it quickly. Quality job, again, with over 6 years of experience between Michael, Robert, and their team. You know that you're going to get quality work. Plus, with licensed contractors, they were able to come out, do a great job, give me tips, give me advice. They found some other stuff that we didn't even know was there. I was able to talk, because we have a townhouse, so we still deal with an association. I was able to talk to the association, and they were able to then go work on the roof, something we didn't even know was there still. But because of Water Cleanup of Florida, they not only were effective, efficient, they helped me prevent further damage, which I wasn't even enlisting them to do. Water Cleanup of Florida, they did for me what they can and will do for you. As I've talked about this a lot, issues with our home stress all of us out. Call them. Let them handle it. Take the stress off of you. Make your life easier. That's what Water Cleanup of Florida will do. Again, 24/7. You can reach them at 954-579-0356, 954-579-0356. Go to the website as well, WCUFL.com, WCUFL.com. If you do mention 5 Reasons or Lubie, 5 Reasons or Lubie, you get that free inspection. I made sure to mention Lubie, and I got that free inspection. You'll get that free inspection. They'll let you know whatever issues you have, and they'll help you solve them quick, efficient, nice and simple, make your life easier. And don't we all want that? I know you'd want that, because I definitely want that. They have done that for me. They will do that for you. Check them out on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Water Cleanup FL. Water Cleanup of Florida. We clean up your schmutz. It's been interesting right now in South Florida sports. Not much outside the Marlins on the field of play, but a lot of rumors swirling around the Miami Heat. A lot of commits going to the Miami Hurricanes. And, of course, some excitement with the Dolphins as camp opens, I think, next week. Mini camp. Rookies are next week, and then later in the week and the week after, you get camp, you get preseason beginning of August. We talked a lot about the Miami Heat. Rumor swirlings around Kevin Durant, Donovan Mitchell, and Miami Hurricanes. Every day seems like they're getting a new 4 or 5-star commit. Today on the Devo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks. What do you make of that? Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks. Or is this just another piece of New York media propaganda where everybody supposedly wants to go to the Knicks?
I don't think
including guys that would never go there on a dare.
No, Mitchell actually has interest in the Knicks. He just would rather be with the Heat. Like, he's a New York kid. He grew up with New York. If he could win with the Knicks, he'd be very happy there. Like, that's actually not a lie. Like, he does have interest in the Knicks. The problem is he could go there, they could give up no one, and they still wouldn't be a top 6 seed. But going there, he'd have to go there for a trade.
Not even with Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell.
Well, because the problem is they're both tiny. Like, Brunson's like 6'1", Mitchell's maybe 6'2". That's going to be your backcourt, and neither's great defensively. Mitchell is actually athletic enough where he could be good defensively, and that's why a team with the Heat could probably make him better defensively because they have enough defensive guys that he wouldn't have to do everything. The Knicks, I mean, so that's the thing. That backcourt would be a disaster. But the problem is, to get him, you'd have to give up guys. So what would make you maybe a top 6, 7 seed, you now are getting rid of it. So now you're barely, to me, him and Brunson isn't a playoff team. The East is going to be interesting. Like, to me, they're not a playoff team. So you're trading for Donovan Mitchell to be like a 7, 8 seed. Like, that makes no sense. So to me, it feels like it's the Jazz. The Jazz are trying, everything the Jazz have done is to try and drum up interest. Like, when last week they're like, oh, we're not going to trade him. And then supposedly he put in an offer and it came out, well, we're going to build around him. But they just traded away Gobert and everything they had and brought in picks and no real players. Okay, so you're not building around him. You're lying. And then the other day it came out, well, yeah, we're just keeping him. We're not interested in trading him again. And then all of a sudden the Heat news came out about the Heat are interested in KD. The Heat are doing everything they can. The Heat are the most persistent team with KD. The next day, it came out, oh, the Jazz may be willing to trade him now. Like, it just feels like the Jazz want to trade him and are hoping to get the most interest possible. And people are waiting on the KD thing before they make a move for Donovan Mitchell. So, to me, this is the Jazz saying, oh, shoot, the Heat may still be interested in KD. Maybe if we put out there that the Knicks are already talking to us, maybe the Heat will really up their
So you're saying
thing.
it's just
I think it's the Jazz. I think it's Ainge. Ainge trying to pull a move and get the Heat into it because the Heat are the team that have the most assets that could give up players and still be competitive. So if the Knicks gave up R.J. Barrett and quickly and a bunch of picks, like, what are they after that? Brunson, Mitchell, and who?
a team with a small
Like,
backcourt.
he could give
has
up
no other
Hero.
support. What about
Robinson.
Julius Randle? I mean,
Well, you'd have
does
to
he
keep-
remain if they get a guy like Mitchell? I don't know.
Well, that would be the
Good
thing.
question.
but-
Anyway, that was a big story today. Actually, they were all over
whole
it.
thing.
Donovan Mitchell,
It's the whole-
returning to the New York Knicks. That was being reported widely. I mean, not as a certainty, but as a matter of bold speculation that this was the destination he wanted. Do you see Mike Lubie? It's Mr. Heat here. I mean, it's like talking to Eric Spoelstra. It's great. Do you see them making some kind
Yes.
of blockbuster move during this offseason? Will they look like not completely, but will they largely reconfigure the team around either a Mitchell, a Kevin Durant, or somebody? I guess who else would be out there of that stature? Nobody at this
Well,
point.
Colin Sexton's
But,
another one that is not happy in Cleveland, and he's going to be up for a contract, or he just got a contract, and Cleveland's not really winning with him. And the Heat do like him. He's a bigger point guard, and that's if you're not going to get one of those two guys, then they do need point guard help. Like Kyle Lowry's old.
All right. So do you see them,
Yes.
making one of those
100%.
moves?
I think
If you want to make it one of three moves.
I think in the end, Durant ends up with the Suns and Mitchell ends up with the Heat. Like, that just seems to be
Wow. Okay.
what happens. Like, I don't know if they do a 4-team. There's supposedly a rumor of the Jazz and Nets and Pacers and Suns working a trade. Then Mitchell ends up in Brooklyn, which he doesn't want to be. And now you're going to have him pissed off and like, that's the whole point is if you're getting one of these superstars, they have to be happy. Not because they have a no trade clause. Like, you can trade them anywhere. But if now in their new spot they bitch and want to get traded, then you gave up a ton for nothing. Like, you don't want to do that. You want to get one of these guys in a place where they're happy. Look what the Raptors are happy they got
With
Leonard.
James Harden, yeah.
Look,
That may be just because Harden himself is
he's just
certifiably strange,
Yeah, he's just
or appears to be. Harden, if he spoke more frequently, would be Kyrie Irving. Would he not? In terms of level of lunacy, or apparently, subscribing to a method of thought that is foreign to the most common basketball fans, where you believe the Earth is flat, for God's sake. Right?
in 2020.
Is it, Lubie? I don't know. I
No,
mean,
it's a round thing.
it's hard to conceive.
spherical.
It's like this ball, right?
It
It
is.
looks like the Larry O'Brien Trophy out of the Earth. All right, so that's going on, and it's interesting because it's all speculation there. And Sarni was right about this. He really was. I mean, there was definitive action taken in NHL free agency.
Yes, there was actual
They're
moves.
not afraid to go and trade like 12 guys for another, 11 coming from the other team. Like franchises are swapped
They just do it.
by the owners. The guy, hey, who wants to play in Winnipeg? Nobody. Okay, so no, that was interesting because there were many, what you would think would be franchise influencing, if not, transformational acquisitions made and transactions that went down in NHL free agency. While none of this happens in the NBA for the most part, because you had all this speculation about your man Damian Lillard, who he ended up right back where he was for like $120 million, even though everybody was saying, oh man, this guy's going to end up somewhere else. No?
Well, it's funny. That's literally my thought was yesterday. Jim said that, and then instantly the bottom line was just NHL transactions.
Yeah,
either
all
signings
NHL
or
transactions,
trades.
big ones.
And I was like, well, good for Jim. And second, I was like, so why does the NBA like they do it on purpose because they get us to talk about this for weeks on end and nothing happens. The NHL opening the day opens, they not only either do signs, they also do the trades.
Yeah.
They could stretch this out.
6 guys are with different teams.
It's like, damn it, like, that would make my life so
relatively,
much easier.
reasonably high stature in the NHL.
I was like,
6 guys.
I was like, come on, NBA, do that.
Yeah.
That would be great. Heat, do that. Like, I hate just waiting.
Well, you have the player leaking information. You have Jim Gray out there conducting those, the decision programs. And it's kind of like the kids now in college where they line up to 6 hats, and they start, faking this one, putting this one on. Next thing you know, the guy unzips his shirt, and there it is. He's got a U tattooed on his chest in green and orange. And you're thinking, well, yeah, that represents some sort of a commitment, does it not?
I hope he doesn't flip.
What's Nick crying about, by the way? Nick Saban.
He's always crying.
What is he crying about? Is he worried that the SEC is going to fall on its face?
No.
At some point in time, he was making comments about, like, the Big 12, which I didn't get a chance to see, but I saw it was being promoted on ESPN naturally. Nick speaks. Thus spoke Zarathustra. Yeah. And whatever he's saying, he's going to be whining about something, even though he is fully taking advantage of that very same thing in principle.
Yeah. Like, it's the Big Ten. The Big Ten is coming for the SEC. And he said, look, I can see that there's going to be 2 conferences. Thank you. Yeah, there will. Okay, I don't care what the ACC, the Pac-12, and the Big 12 do, and these stupid-ass combinations they're trying to create to feel better about themselves. In the end, the reality is neither will compete with the SEC and the Big Ten. It's about the money. It's about ESPN and Fox, one getting behind one getting behind the other, and now they're going at it. And that's what we're seeing, and that's what's going to happen. I mean, inevitably, in the next 3 to 5 years, maybe 10 years, but it'll probably be less, you're going to just see the 2 conferences. And then that's what I'm curious is what happens to the other, like the Pittsburghs and the Louisvilles, who are actual football programs, have history, but they don't draw. So, like, if you're the SEC or the Big Ten, you don't want them, but they're not Grambling State or North Dakota State, right? Like, they have enough history where they should play football. So, like, I don't know what happens to those. That's the only question I have.
Yeah. All right, we'll see what happens. Anytime Nick speaks, I'm always curious to hear what it is that he's bitching about. And then wondering, to what level of advantage is he taking, those methods into practice, that help him immensely. And, yet he's complaining about other guys doing the same thing.
Exactly.
So, how much longer does he stick with it? I mean, how much
60s.
longer does this guy go on?
He's late 60s.
An ego is a terrible thing to waste. Obviously, I guess he still enjoys it, no? Because have you ever seen a guy look more miserable doing a job that was a piece of cake?
I don't know if it's a piece of cake.
I mean, think about it, right? You're the head coach in Alabama. You're Nick Saban. You've got the reputation already there. And every year the recruiting, I mean, no matter what Mario Cristobal does,
I'm not competing
here, which it seems like every other day the Hurricanes are signing another 9-star recruit.
Yeah, 4 and 5 stars only. And it's been the last
unbelievable.
2 weeks. They're going
Now what happened there? Did they bring back, Art Kehoe or something?
I don't know.
I mean, you would think Cristobal would be amenable to that. No, is Art Kehoe still around?
I don't know.
I mean, they had all these guys that had tremendous ties to the local high schools during the Schnellenberger era. These assistant coaches. I don't know. Is Don Soldinger still alive? Soldinger?
I think so. I don't know if
he was a real, hard-nosed, typical guy that you would think of as, a lifetime assistant football coach. I guess he might have been a high school coach here and then got the job on the UM staff. And guess what, Lubie? He had connections.
Yeah.
But they were getting all of these guys at one time, and obviously it was the thing that helped them sustain that level of dominance that they had for almost 2 decades, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, go
it's
ahead.
a Ruiz guy. Like, look, Cristobal is a good recruiter, and he's put a staff together of guys that recruit. But Ruiz, and again, I don't know how long this will last because all of his money.
Julian says it's Ruiz.
All of his money
the guy with the cash
is very sketch. Like where he
when
got
does he
his
turn
money.
into Nevin Shapiro? This guy,
and that's the thing is,
anybody heard from Nevin lately?
No. So right
he must
now,
be out by now, right? What did he get? 10 years on that
been out.
thing where he had the bogus grocery stores in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, I think Corbin told us he's been out. He just hasn't surfaced anywhere. But Ruiz has put money out there.
You're not going to see him arm in arm with Donna Shalala with a big cardboard check anymore?
I don't know.
Here you go, Donna. Donna Shalala should have been bright enough to maybe question the source of these funds.
Well, duh.
What do you think?
Obviously, she didn't care.
You see a rich guy, do you automatically believe that he got there, by completely honest and, legitimate means?
I don't.
Like a filthy rich guy that's 26 years old and is hanging out, with rappers and all of the football players. Just happens to have like a ton of capital at a very young age, even though there's no history of wealth in his family. And he has no job to speak of. What do you do? And he's in Miami, the capital of scams. No, they never question it. I mean, when Donna was picking up, I've seen any number of pictures of like Nevin Shapiro handing big cardboard checks to Donna Shalala. And, he was running the University of Miami at the time. And now, is she still in Congress, Shalala?
She's a senator or something, isn't she? No, she's a senator or a congressperson, for sure.
A U.S. representative of some sort? I want to say representative.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did she win that? Donna Shalala.
Yeah, I think she won easy.
Donna Shalala, down by the shore. Anyway, never questioned any of that. So is this Ruiz guy unscrupulous? I mean, what's the story there, Libby? Do we know what he does? But he's doing this. He's bringing all these recruits in.
Well,
with
he's just
name,
spending
a
lot of money directly for recruiting, which is not what it's for. So like a kid will come, the rumors will come out how much money he got, and then days later they'll walk it back because you're really not allowed to do that yet.
Suitcase full of cash type of stuff.
Kids, in the state of Florida, you weren't supposed to. Like every state has different rules, so they're working on trying to make it more unilateral. But so that's why you'll see like the quarterback was supposed to got $9 million, and then the next day Ruiz, the school's like, no. That's not true, that figure at all. What do you mean? Which is obviously true, but you're not allowed to do it. So, whereas other schools...
Jimbo is going to come forward and disclose these figures? I would doubt.
No. Well, that's the thing. The other schools are yelling and screaming, we're not doing this at all. What do you mean? Because they know they can get in trouble. So they're doing it, obviously. Look, Texas has been average, and suddenly Texas is getting every 5-star. A&M has never recruited like that. Like Jimbo got them in the top 8, but they got not only number 1, they blew away Georgia and Bama. So obviously they're doing it. It's just you have to be smart about it. But a lot of these schools aren't all in like Ruiz. Like Ruiz is just like any money he has, he's throwing it at recruits, and it's working, and that's cool. And we'll see. We'll see what happens on the field. Will have a lot to do with it.
Hope he builds that stadium too. That'd be awesome, right? Just another $1 billion. That would be pretty good. It's unbelievable and unfathomable that college football would probably be less transparent when it came to monetary transactions than the World Boxing Council. So, right? I mean, they may as well get one of the Suleimans, to come in here and run college football now. Never mind Mark Emmert. Where is he, by the way?
He's retiring. He's done. This is, I think, his last year.
Finished?
He's already out. Yeah. Yep.
He probably made a pretty nice score, though, in his capacity of,
well.
Talk about a do-nothing job. You're the guy who's in charge of regulating an unregulated business. All right, we got into a little bit of this basketball thing. So you think that the Heat are going to actually make one of these moves?
Yes.
I don't know that I see that.
Yep.
Although, never put it past Pat Riley.
That's it.
He has to be salivating. I mean, but wouldn't Pat Riley be all in on Durant?
He is. He is. But to me, you have to give up too much to get Durant to where it doesn't put you over the top. Durant is definitely a better player than Donovan Mitchell. Durant's also 34. Durant's also had leg and back issues. So if you're the Heat, Mitchell's 25. And I think in the end, you don't have to give up a Bam. To get Durant without giving up Bam would be almost impossible. And you don't want to give up Bam. Bam's young. He's a top 5 big man. He's a top 3 defender, all-around defender in the NBA. And his offensive game has grown, and it will continue to grow. So you don't want to give up Bam. He's a part of your build going forward. What's cool about a Mitchell is he can help you win now. And then you can also, as Jimmy ages out, build around Bam and Mitchell. If you get rid of Bam for Durant, Durant's old. So now you have Jimmy who's like 33, 34. You have Durant who's 34. Like, you have a really short lifespan. And to me, you want to be like the Warriors, right? Like the Warriors are winning now, and now these young guys can keep it going so they don't have to have that time period of suck. Like, go after Durant, fine. But to me, if you can get Mitchell and not have to give up Bam, do it. Like, why not? You'll be the best team in the East, and you could compete with anyone in the West.
And it's amazing how Duncan Robinson went from being an essential,
I know, now you just
piece of the Heat dynamics to being like a persona non grata, really, like honestly, Greg Norman.
Honestly,
is that at St. Andrews. It's pretty incredible to see that happen, and yet I don't know, was the guy that bad this year?
It's not
Sure
about being
fell in
bad.
disfavor for some reason. Grant Long, when he was on with us, sort of implied. I didn't believe this to be the case.
No, that wasn't an issue.
I thought that Duncan Robinson had no problem and was completely immersed and through his veins, was circulating Heat culture. No.
He was frustrated because he had finally gotten his place. He was starting when he should have been a bench guy, but he was starting for rotational purposes.
They were doing all these wonderful poo-poo stories about, look at this guy, came from such humble beginnings, and here he is, Mr. Heat. Yeah,
and he
was second only to Mickey Arison in terms of the Heat's regard for one of their personnel.
Oh, Haslam, Haslam's the one that's like
then gone. Yeah.
It's like
UD going to come back as a player again? When does Adam Silver look into that?
That's my favorite. Is they sent the whole team to keep him? Why? Like,
why not just put Zoe on the roster as a player also while you're at it? How could they possibly justify that?
I don't know.
It's crazy, right?
The Robinson thing was he was helping them spread the floor. His 3-point shooting was good, and even it struggled early on, but he figured it out. The problem is he does nothing else. Strus was actually able to do a lot of the shooting that Robinson was doing, and he actually picked up defense a lot better, and he could do other things, and he's cheaper. Like Strus is still on that
is one of those guys when
deal.
you first saw him, you thought, what is this guy doing on the roster?
100%.
And then
100%.
Every time he took the floor, you thought, wow, this guy can play a little bit. And then, he got the nod. I guess, I don't know, is that determined in practice of all things? That Strus, you just gave the guy like $50 million. And next thing you know, you got some scrub beating him out for the starting spot, and almost all playing time.
Yes, yeah,
was distributed elsewhere. We're starting to get like Scoop Skolnick here talking about Heat minutes.
I'm proud of you.
I don't know that the interesting aspect always to me is Pat Riley, and whether or not he's going to pull off some kind of blockbuster move. And you're looking, as you very expertly pointed out there, that Donovan Mitchell has probably a better option because he's 24 years old, and who knows? Durant was great this year, but he
was coming off injury.
He's
again.
had problems, right? There's always a chance that he pulls a muscle and is out for the rest of the season.
Yep, and then you've given up all this youth for nothing. At least Mitchell is young. He's hungry. He showed he can play defense. He is a guy that can do everything offensively that you need, and he's a guy that wants to be in Miami. And we've seen when guys want to be in Miami, they buy into the Heat culture crap, but it works. And you saw P.J. Tucker, and you saw these guys rejuvenate their careers. People forgot about P.J. Tucker. He was a big part of the Bucks, but the Bucks really should have kept him, and they were like, whatever. Well, you saw how important P.J. Tucker was, but a lot of that was being in Miami. You've talked about this for years. Like, the Heat culture thing, as much as we make fun of that, it's one of the intangible things that feels tangible because people talk about it so much. Mitchell could rejuvenate his career. He's already a great player, but, take it to another level. And to me, Durant's already done that. He's on the other side. He is a guy that does get disgruntled. He is a guy that does mess with chemistry. And that's the one thing this Heat team has. They, like each other. They had a brawl on the sidelines, and by the press conference, it was over. It was over because that's how they're a family kind of a thing, and Spoelstra is the perfect head to that. When Riley wants something to happen, he makes it happen. As much as I gave him a lot of shit 3-4 years ago because they were really in a bad situation, within 1 year...
Dion Waiters, man. Dion Waiters. Think about that.
But that's what I'm saying. Within 1 year, and Waiters you couldn't get rid of. Johnson you couldn't get rid of. Olenek you couldn't get rid of. You couldn't... All these contracts that were impossible.
And he gave all those guys all of that money, too. And they all laid an egg, from that point on.
But what Riley's shown is, if I mess up, don't worry, I'll fix it. Within 1 year, he got rid of all those contracts, Hassan Whiteside, all of them, and brought in Jimmy Butler, and they were back in the finals. So to me, on his way out, he's not going to do less. That's my thing.
He had to take on the contracts of several deceased players. Yeah, I think we're paying Hondo Havlicek to be a member of the Miami Heat. He might have his contract somewhere there in his drawer. I don't know. Andy Ellisberg, it's amazing. The guy was an intern.
Spectacular.
And always was a very likable fellow. In fact, I remember Andy when he was bringing guests to the Jim-managed Sunday night sports rap show that I was on for a while. And he was the guy who accompanied any Heat guest. And we used to get very good guests coming to the show, top-level people coming. Madnich had this kind of pull, and I was able to get him to come live to the studio there, Channel 33, I think, was where we had the show. We would get Marino to come out once a year. That was always phenomenal. But Andy would bring over Heat players or Heat personnel, the Heat coaches, and he was an intern. You were thinking this guy literally is like going and getting coffee for Mick, right? And now he's like, the expert capologist in a mathematical system that I don't even think Rene Descartes could have deciphered.
What do you mean?
Who the hell, when they start printing stories and guys are babbling about NBA salary cap, you got Woj on there or Windhorst or any of these people. Even our own beloved friend Ira Winderman, who knows the stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
does,
but who the hell can understand it, right? And who knew they had an early bird special
in the
NBA? The early bird.
I thought you were lying, and then I looked into it. I'm like, so what's the early bird?
The early bird, like you could sign a guy under the Larry Bird rule, even though he's only been in the league for a half an hour.
You can get a salad and a soup and a dessert and coffee.
Yeah, and dessert comes with it, and coffee or tea. No, I always like when they trade for dead guys, dead contracts in the NBA. That's like among my favorite transactions. Never mind Lou Brock for Ernie Broglio. Where you're thinking, is it worth giving up a 20-game winner for a guy that's hitting 260? I guess so. That was one
Dolph
of those deals
Shays.
that
They throw Dolph Shays into the deal.
Yeah. Danny Shays, yeah.
Mikan
was traded yesterday by the Lakers to Minnesota, going back to his roots in Minneapolis. All right. No, it's crazy. I don't know. I kind of hope they do that. I'd like to see Jimmy Butler working with one of those kind of guys, either Mitchell or
Durant,
Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
I would actually like to see Durant come to the Miami Heat, but as you say,
I just don't see it.
It's prohibitive because do the Heat have any draft picks in the next century?
They do. They just don't. The Knicks have 8 in the next 2 drafts, and that's the thing. Like the Knicks, they have 8. It might be 8 first rounders in the next 2 or 3 drafts, and they could trade. They could trade 2 out of the next 3 years, and that's what Jazz will be looking for. But the Jazz also want players now, and that to me is the Knicks would have to go totally all in. And then what is that Mitchell there for? Fine, you keep Brunson, you keep Mitchell, maybe you keep Randall. Okay, what are you, an 8th seed, 7th seed? So Mitchell just left a team that could be a 7th, 8th seed, has been in the playoffs every year to go to a team to do the same thing. That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand that.
But playing in New York.
He'll be at NY. He'll be at home. Alrighty, so the rumors are swirling. Donovan Mitchell's going to the Knicks. And the Heat are all in on Kevin Durant. But the Heat would use Donovan Mitchell as a backup plan. To me, it's pretty simple. Kevin Durant is a better player now. Yes, Kevin Durant's also 34. Kevin Durant is a tall guy with leg and back issues. We've already seen him just come off a major injury, and he played extremely well, but when he's going to get injured again, you don't know. And at 34, he's older. If you can get Kevin Durant without giving up Bam, obviously you want Kevin Durant. Problem is, to get a Kevin Durant, and if you're the Miami Heat, you're probably going to have to give up Bam. So, yes, you're better, but you still aren't head and shoulders above. You're number 1 in the East, but you're not. You're right on par with the West, if not worse than the Warriors and some of the teams out West. And you're old now. Now you're old. The idea is if you get Donovan Mitchell, he's 25. Yeah, he's not Kevin Durant, but you wouldn't have to give up Bam, by all accounts, to get Donovan Mitchell. So you keep Bam with Jimmy, with Donovan Mitchell. You can win now. You're the best team in the East. You're just as good as those teams in the West. And Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Butler's not old, and he is playing the best ball of his career. But with his time with the Bulls, time with the Heat, the way he plays physically, he might be 33, 34, but his body's a lot older. How much more of his prime are you going to get? So Jimmy Butler ages out. Well, you have Donovan Mitchell and Bam Adebayo to build around. So to me, if you can get Donovan Mitchell and not give up Bam, that I would rather that than Durant, because you probably will have to give up Bam to get Durant, and that makes it better, but only so much better. So I would much rather, if the Miami Heat, go after, hone in on Donovan Mitchell. Now the rumors are the Knicks. Look, the Knicks can put together, if they're willing to give it up RJ Barrett, a better deal than the Heat. But the reality is, what would the Knicks be? Julius Randle has a massive contract that no one wants, and he's not only he's not a star, he's not an all-star. The dude had one really good year. He's not that. He's a pretty good player, but he's like a 4th best player on a good team, on a winning team. You'd have to. The Jazz want draft picks, but they want good talent, so you'd have to probably give up on RJ Barrett. So you have Julius Randle, huge deal. You have Jalen Brunson, huge deal. And Donovan Mitchell, huge deal. I don't care what the cap goes to. You have 3 guys on near max deals. You can't bring in another star. So what are the Knicks? 7th, 8th seed. Yeah, the Knicks are better than they were, but the Knicks are probably worse than what Mitchell had in Utah. So why would Mitchell want to go from Utah to the Knicks? Yes, the Jazz can trade him to whoever they want to, but if Donovan Mitchell goes somewhere and he's not happy, he's going to want to move very soon. Look what happened with Harden. So the Brooklyn Nets gave up all that to get Harden, and then within a year, he was bitter and wanted to go. So look, the Raptors did it where they got Kawhi for a lot, but they won a title, right? He didn't want to stay there long-term, didn't stay there long-term, but they got a title. So fine, if you're going to mortgage and give up a lot of guys for a one-year rental, okay, you won a title. The Knicks won't win a title with Donovan Mitchell. The Knicks, again, would be behind the Heat, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Hawks, Bulls, and Raptors to me. Yes, if injuries happen, maybe they can, and chemistry and guys had the best years of their career, yeah, maybe they can be a 6th seed. That team is not winning a first-round series. So Donovan Mitchell's leaving the Jazz to go to a worse team. I get it. He's from New York, and his dad is a part of the Mets organization, and yay, New York. Or not New York, I'm sorry, he's from the Northeast, and that's cool. But he wants to win. Like, Donovan Mitchell's never been that guy. Like, Donovan Mitchell wants to win. He's been to the playoffs every year of his career with the Jazz. He's flirted with getting to the conference finals. Now, that makes no sense to me. So, yes, the Jazz can do whatever they want, and the Knicks probably can put together a better package, a better trade package than the Miami Heat. But to me, Donovan Mitchell and what he wants has to matter there, because if you're Donovan Mitchell and the Knicks aren't going to win, why would you want to go there? He's open to going to the Knicks. And I get it, yeah, if they can keep R.J. Barrett and give up nothing, yes, going to the Knicks could make them still not better than the Heat, Celtics, or Bucks, but maybe right there with the Hawks, Raptors, and Bulls. Maybe you get out of our first round and are competitive in the second round. Maybe. Sure. But the Jazz, as much as they want picks, and they'll take stupid contracts of Derrick Rose and Fournier, they still want a young player. Like, they want a young star possibility player to build around, to have a part of your new rebuild. Like, you can't get rid of Donovan Mitchell. And money-wise, you do need something real to make it work. So to me, R.J. Barrett, from what I've heard in reports, has to be a part of it. And if he is, then the Knicks are a 7th, 8th seed getting Donovan Mitchell. And I don't understand that. Like, I get it from the Knicks standpoint. They're better. They now have a superstar talent to build around. And yeah, he's only 25, so maybe he waits to pull a Dirk and give him 3 or 4 years of rebuilding. And then they go and win. Why would you do that when the Miami Heat can give them a nice trade? Hero, Robinson, maybe a Strus or a year 7, something of that nature. And then give them picks, you know? And then you join the Heat and you still have Oladipo, still have Lowry, still have Bam and Butler, and you're the best team in the East, and you're right there with the Warriors. If you're Donovan Mitchell, you have a say in this, because they would, if he really wanted to be there, they would find a way to keep him. They want to rebuild, and he doesn't want to be there. So he has a say in where he goes. And I know he's open to go to New York, and I get it, but if they have to give up what they should have to give up for him, how much better are they? And I don't understand why he'd want to do that. So if you're the Miami Heat, to me, you focus on Donovan Mitchell, and that's what I get from this. It feels like the Jazz are trying to get the Heat to give more. The Heat probably just offered Hero, Robinson, and picks. And the Jazz are like, nah. So they're like, but we're interested with the Knicks. So the Knicks are probably offering a better trade. It feels like the Jazz are like, okay, if you want to wait for Kevin Durant, and the Jazz aren't in a rush, but at some point you think you want to make a deal because you want to start building for next year. Like, you have a couple months, but camp's going to be the August, September area. Season's in October. Like, you don't want this to go on that long for the Jazz. And the thing with the Nets and Durant, that's going to go on for a while, it feels like. The Nets have him for 40 years. He just signed a deal in August, like last August. Like, that's going to go on for a while. To me, if you're the Heat, you really try and go in and outduel the Knicks and go and get Donovan Mitchell. It's a much longer span. You can win now and win later. Kevin Durant, you'll be really good now, but you'll have to give up Bam, so that hurts you now. And you're now old, and your build for the future is going to have to reset in a couple years. So that's where I stand. Defo and I talked about that a lot. If you want to check out more of us, tune in tomorrow morning, 7 to 9. It is a Degenerate Friday. We will have the Professor's Big Board Top 5. It is classic. It is funny. At about 8 o'clock and 8:35, the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, joins us each and every morning on South Florida Live. Go to YouTube, Google, Facebook, South Florida Live. Also on the socials, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter with Facebook at SoFla Live. And check us out each and every day, for the most part, on our national network podcast, the Believe Network, BLEAV.com. Search After Hours. And each and every day right here with your South Florida content, the Defo Show with the Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.